Hey guys, welcome to my post-TGS discussion with my friend Nick. We decided to do this just because we had a lot of ideas of how we felt about the presentation, and we thought maybe a sort of podcast video would be kind of cool to do. So that's exactly what we did. So if you guys like this type of thing, let me know, and hey, maybe I'll do some more once we get some more news. But yeah, let's begin. So now that the TGS event for Persona is finally over, what'd you think about it?
The dream is dead. Almost.
I mean, it's not dead. It's just delayed a tiny bit. I mean,
the dream has been nullified for the time being.
The dream is still dreaming. I don't know what that means.
if you saw my Twitter those past few days on TGS,
yeah,
I blew up.
I did. I mean, I don't know. I'm okay with the delay personally. I don't mind it. Now they've said it's the biggest game Atlas has ever produced. I was like blown away by that. I was like, "What? Really? Like, how can you?" It just seems crazy to me, honestly. But yeah, I guess it's true. So,
I mean, I don't know how they're gonna do it too, since the game is still supposed to only span the time of 1 year, and I don't know.
Right. So every day you're getting something. I guess I don't know. That's the only way I could think of it.
From the way they said things, it looks like, from the trailer I've seen at least, is that you can bounce back and forth from your overworld to your other world,
right?
The other Persona games where you're constricted by timing slots and annoyingness and stuff like that. But I understand the delay is for to make the game better, tune up the gameplay. Your 80 FPS, 20K resolution. But
80 FPS would be so pointless. Yeah. I think honestly they did intend to have it for PS3 out when they said in they could do that. It was manageable. But then the PS4, they got into that, and then they realized, this is a next-gen experience we're making. And it sort of evolved into more of a PS4 game than mainly a PS3 game. I think that's largely to do why this game has been delayed this many times.
Probably. I can understand the first delay, because that was like literally the year after it was like officially announced. And I was like, okay, I can understand that. But another year, I was like, oh, man. The main reason is because it's just it was my most anticipated game of this year, and then just to see that awesome PV3 get shown in my face, and then be like, oh, sorry, it's coming out next year. I was like, oh.
Honestly, I woke up that day and I was like, all right, PV3 is gonna have some bad news. But I waited patiently, but yeah.
I was in denial. I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it was, but I was like, no, I don't want to believe it. I have faith.
There's a lot of good things that happen at this event too, like the Persona 5 anime. That's good. Okay, I'll stop.
Don't get me started on that.
It's not always good to focus on the bad, right? That's how I personally feel about the whole experience that we had.
Now, before, in anticipation of P5 coming out this year, rest in peace, I played Catherine through again one more time, and I pulled out a few things that might be brought over to Persona 5. We already saw the texting feature
right, the SNS, yeah.
And in Catherine, like I was saying, there was the text messaging feature, which you could receive photos from your not party members, but your other friends in the game. And I'm pretty sure that will play out in Persona 5 in a similar way of like taking pictures of like your next heist location,
right?
And, like, plotting things out. That's just
which is a cool thing they did in Devil Survivor, which I guess was sort of like a precursor to that. Was like, at the end of each day, your friends and stuff would email you, cool stuff like that. So it's kind of nice to see that sort of interaction with, new means of technology being implemented in some of our beloved games. So, I hope that does actually come back, because that makes sense, right?
Yeah. And I mean, in Persona 4 and maybe 3, I can't remember because I haven't played 3 in like a long time, there was like a very bare bones texting system where you could like let your friends know to come see a movie or something like that. It wasn't really anything impressive. But this time we got like a big red triangle.
Yeah, I mean, that has actually been confirmed to be like, I think how you transport to the other palace or whatever.
The palace, you get like an app of some sort.
That's interesting. It's like the demon summoning app.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of cool.
Drawing a lot of connections here with.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. I wonder if there's a bit of inspiration there, but
yeah,
that definitely looks promising. A lot of people are like, all social links will be done on the phone, and it's like, no, I don't think we're that I don't think we're that point at the
I
Persona
think
experience.
I think it'll be like how in Persona 3 and 4, where if you like pray at the shrine or something like that, it'll increase your chance of upgrading your social link the next time you talk to that person.
Yeah, that could be a cool thing. But yeah, we didn't see any social links. I mean, unless the social links are somehow just super hidden, I just still find that super bizarre. We'd say one.
I'm kind of glad they didn't, though, because I kind of want it to be a surprise when I play it.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, they could have shown off Ryuji's one, if he is going to be one. I don't know. I mean, probably, but...
My favorite part about Ryoji, though, or Ryuji, is that...
I don't know how you say I could be wrong.
I'm bad with my Japanese, too.
Yeah.
I like how in his character profile it explicitly states that he is a bad influence on our main character.
And I think that... Yeah, I'm not going to be to cut you off. I think that could be really, really interesting, because it looks like he's... Not the brightest student, to say the least.
He's definitely the Yosuke of this game.
Yeah,
except he's
totally.
more like a rough nut type of dude.
I'm interested to see how he'll be different, though, because I mean they can't repeat the same character.
I hope
that
Yosuke was annoying. No offense to Yosuke.
I like Yosuke. Everyone hates Yosuke, man.
He's just all like pure friendship, adrenaline.
True.
Rush. But I mean, he's not as bad as Junpei. I'll give him that.
Dude, oh my gosh, you're tearing me apart, man.
I think the only reason my pure hatred for Junpei came from the fact that one day my friend came over with a Junpei hat on, and I was like, okay, I think we've gone too far.
Oh, okay. Was he a fan of Shimigami Tensei, or just...
I actually introduced him to the series with
E3,
cool. And Junpei was the character that really clicked for him for whatever reason, because the entire game he hates you. And then
Same here.
And then at the very end, he's like, "Oh, I guess we're friends now, right?" I don't know.
Well,
he called me a jerk the entire game, but
some people love him, some people hate him. I guess we'll just end it at that.
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess you know which part I'm on. But yeah, the TGS event, I feel like there's still more on the horizon, though. I feel like this is the breaking point. Like, I don't know if you saw, but I made that video, like, speculating we're going to get news on a release date soon. I was totally wrong that it'd be out this year in America, obviously.
I mean,
but
it's not really your fault. It's...
Right. But I think we're starting... I mentioned in the video that, like, there's a point where Atlas, pops the bubble and, information starts, fly out. I think we're starting to get to that point. It's slowly going to ramp up.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it'll come out a little bit before summer 2016. That's just a placeholder date.
Yeah, I'm thinking June.
Yeah, probably.
Personally. I mean, that's just me being hopeful.
June at the latest for me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think... in Japan, obviously. I don't think a late September is going to fly for Japan. That's usually not the best. Well, then again, Metal Gear came out. That's usually not the best for sales, if I recall correctly, so not too sure.
Plus, Hashino himself said the game was, like, entirely done. They were like...
Yeah, that's another thing. I'm very confused on that, personally.
Yeah, they just said they were tuning up the gameplay, so, I mean, that can't take too long, can it?
Maybe they need to... We're tuning up the gameplay, aka making the rest of the game.
Yeah.
The other 50%. Yeah, let's hope it comes out soon,
Yeah. What was it? The next point that I wanted to pull out from Catherine, I know we strayed far from that topic, but morality.
Completely.
If you've ever played Catherine, you know your decisions in that game
right.
affect the play out of the cutscenes. Like, you'll see, like, a little angel meter in the corner depending on, like, what your alignment is. And, like, the cutscenes would play out different ways. Like, even if they were animated, they would cut to a different animation reel than the other way would. Yeah. And that'd be interesting to see incorporated to P5. Now, I'm not saying P5 will have direct morality in it, because we've never really seen that in a Persona game, but I could see that, like, working kind of with, like, how your social link decisions work and things like that.
Well, technically, there was morality in Persona 1. It's like, what's it called? do you save the nurse? And it's like, you do all those stupid things just to get the right ending.
Press the red button or press the blue button.
So stupid. But, yeah, I think that could be really awesome. I don't know, honestly, if that'd be able to be incorporated because, well, then again, who knows? Because they did say it was such a big game. But, like, you gotta think about Catherine, super short, right?
Yeah, it was a good game, though.
Yeah, no, definitely one of the better releases for that year.
Yeah,
don't that whole quarter, really.
Don't play underage kids. That one's not too good for the little ones.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, I had my sister come into my room. She's a little bit younger than me, a little while ago, and she's like, "Ooh, I saw PewDiePie play this," and I'm like, "You don't want to play
You
this."
should not be watching that. Okay, so the Persona game's probably not donning the M rating, but Catherine definitely like it. A little more risque content there. So I don't, I don't know about that, but
yeah,
I don't know if they'd have the funds necessarily to do that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think so? Because I don't think they could remake any cutscenes like that.
The new animation studio they have is like
Right.
really, really good at their job, better than Giraffe Next from P3 and
Mhm.
P4.
Right.
And they appear to have a lot of cutscenes in that game, a lot more than we've
Yeah,
seen before.
I noticed that from PV3. Either we're just getting like a big bulk of cutscenes, or like there's gonna be a lot of the game animated. But then again, okay, I was thinking about this earlier today actually, and I saw the like the second promotional video for Persona 3, and it was pretty much all just cutscenes.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. Who's to say really?
Yeah.
But I'm excited to go to Egypt. I can't wait to play that. Oh man, love.
I also pointed out a few things that could draw P5 to like the first two games, because I've been noticing that Atlas is slowly starting to like recognize their abused children, known as Persona 1 and 2.
Right. And yeah.
I mean, they first started out with skin packs, for like P4 Dance and Ultimax.
Yeah, an arena.
Arena, yeah. And then we started to see P5, and there was a few elements we saw that were from the previous Persona games, like guns, the color red, which was the updated color scheme of P2. Originally, it was gray and purple, but the PSP release has since been red. And like, there's the possible chance that how Arsene seems a little bit malicious.
Yeah, he's a little villainous, to say the least.
In PV2, he constantly talks about like making those who go against your beliefs repent or something like that. And I'm like, that's nothing Persona would usually say.
Yeah, it's not very, stereotypical investigation team, nice guy. So yeah, I kind of get that vibe from Austin also. Like, he doesn't seem like the nicest guy at the end of the day. But it'd be interesting to see if our own Persona sort of betrayed us or something. That'd be strange.
Kind of like Thanatos. I felt like that was a missed opportunity in P3. That at the beginning of the game, Thanatos possessed our main character and broke free from Orpheus and kind of controlled the situation. We didn't really get to see that again later in the game. That was kind of
because we leveled up, bro. That's probably why. But yeah, I think something like that would be really cool. But aren't the guns in Persona 5? They stated they're not actual guns.
Yeah, they're only work in the other way.
I always felt that was a little weird when you're doing the Snow Queen quest line. Like, it was just kind of like, guns in a school, that's not a good image.
Don't take this the wrong way, because I don't intend it to be. But I was browsing the bowels of Armaga 10 one day, and I went in the comment section. Someone linked a fan fiction. Now, I don't condone Persona fan fictions. This is the only one I've read, I swear. But it was pretty funny. Like, Tatsuya's brother from Persona 2, it was like a fan fiction where he meets the P1 cast, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you won't believe how many stuff I'll have to write off for you guys bringing guns to school or owning guns, period."
Battle axes. I know, right? Oh, that's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah.
I just imagine that. That'd be an interesting exchange. And then they would fight, and then it would be Persona 1 and 2 arena. But,
oh, God.
Yeah, back to, TGS. So now the Famitsu interview is out. We're not going to really talk too heavily on that, because it's officially not. It's still a leak, basically.
Yeah.
And we don't want to cross any borders there. But yeah. A lot of really promising information in there about just the game in general. So,
yeah.
I want to talk about it. So it's really hard to resist.
Little bits and pieces here.
Yeah, I think that'll be. Okay.
Now, the one thing that struck me odd is in PV3, because this is not only restricted to the Famitsu, but it's also back at TGS. Little scene in PV3 when you turn into mice. Hashino said himself that's the status ailment, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, and that's a little interesting. Like, will that if you don't cleanse that off in a battle, will you have to
be a mouse?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of how that would be incorporated. I think maybe it's a stats effect or something, like polymorph, and then it persists through battle, so you have to find a cure or something, and then your next battle, you're forced to get, the enemy gets a preemptive attack or something. I think that would be interesting, personally.
Yeah, maybe
something to that degree. But
what else was there? Another thing that I wanted to point out is that the other world, basically this palace that they're in, it's gonna be built. It's from the way they describe it. It's gonna be torn up in blocks, kind of like Tartarus in P3. That's where we saw the pyramids and the art galleries and stuff.
Yeah, but is it going? Okay, sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna say it seems a little weird.
It seems a little weird, and I hope that this is how they do it. So, like, the palace is actually a location, and yeah, your school is, like, maybe layer 1, but, like, the palace, like, you know, is scattered across the world or something, because it doesn't really make sense why your school would have an art gallery and a space observatory. Well, maybe, who knows? I contradict myself every other second, it seems, but, you know, it'd be interesting to see how they tackle that, because, personally, I like the concept of Tartarus, of always just going higher and higher and higher, but it didn't look like the palace was actually that tall. So.
It seemed to be going forward than upward.
Right. So it's like, it makes you think, like, what exactly direction are they going to take that?
Are they on their road to glory?
Oh.
Road to destruction?
Just a super long hallway for thousands of miles.
That's probably stretching it, but, you know.
Most likely, yeah, but well, I think whatever they choose, it's going to be great. Obviously, we move past the point where it's, you know, Persona 3 blocks for 57 floors. Yeah. A little ridiculous. You know, something a little more tame. Because, honestly, the hardest thing to, like, get people into talking about Persona is, like, for me to, like, sell people on the game, it's like, yeah, it's this really awesome story, you know, you gotta do these social link things, and the combat's really fun too, and then they get to the combat, and it's like, yeah, it's really fun, but the dungeons are kind of meh, and it's like, well, I guess they're not for everybody, but I really hope that Persona 5 will alleviate this by making it a little more engaging, to say the least.
Yeah, and another thing that struck me as odd, but it's kind of cool, is that the dungeons won't be randomly generated anymore.
Well, I think they said in the February interview there are random aspects, like
like traps and stuff.
No, I think it's like some rooms will be like sort of randomly. I don't know how to describe it to you, but there was in the Hoshino interview thing on YouTube, there was like this one room that was very like bare bones, and it looked like it was randomly generated. Because honestly, I love procedurally generated stuff like roguelikes and stuff. So I hope we get like the best of both worlds. I mean, that's not totally out of the question, right?
Yeah, and I mean like. I prefer the what's it called, the randomly generated dungeons too, but like I feel like having pre-built dungeons would kind of open up P5 to a new generation before we get boarded by the people who are like, well, you're just filthy casual scum, you know, you play a real Shinigami Tensei game. I'm like, well, you know, there's time for change sometimes. You gotta
I agree with that. Yeah,
and another thing that I don't understand is that, so you use this app to go into the other world, and you go there to hunt these people, which Hoshino states as rotten people, which I'm assuming each person correlates with each 7 deadly sin, as we have seen. Possibly. And as we know, the palace is built up from the school. So how did those rotten people get in your school?
That's what I'm thinking, because the one man in the suit that kind of sprouts the fly wings, he does... Unless he's the principal, I'm not too sure on him. So I'm thinking it's like maybe, I don't know, see, there's so many unanswered questions. This is why we had this discussion, huh?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be beating up his teachers. Right.
I mean, how fun would that be, though, if you beat up Moroka? Like, if Moroka was a shadow. Yeah. Oh, man, that'd be good. But having a pipe dream, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, just super interested on all the things released from that. It was just God, give me the game already, really. That's all I can think of. It's just, but I honestly do think, though, that there's, back to the whole dungeon thing, that it looks like perhaps this time we're going to be spending a lot more time in the dungeons. I don't know how you stand on this, but I disliked how in Persona 4 you had to either choose doing a social link or doing a dungeon, because I pretty much said, all right, you need to get good and do the dungeon in one day if you want to max everything out. I kind of liked in Persona 3 how it was like a nighttime thing.
Yeah, I mean,
how do you feel about that?
And I mean, it made it really difficult for achievement hunting.
Right, yeah, that was another thing. Just, and obviously understand, you know, we're thieves by night and that stuff, but how is that going to exactly conflict with our, you know, schedule? I'm a little curious on that.
Most thieving does happen at night, though, so I mean...
Right, as you all know.
As it could be, possibly, maybe, you can only access it by night. I could be entirely wrong here because we've seen in the corner there's like clouds and like sun and stuff while they're in the dungeon. That could just be it's an early build and they haven't really messed with that yet, or it's...
I'm not too. Yeah, now that you bring that up, because I don't. Okay, I have to disagree that I think that's an early build, but yeah, definitely when you're inside the dungeons, it does show the sunny icon. You think it'd show a moon phase or something to that degree, but I don't think they're. Oh, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
When will? Because okay, I'm not gonna bring it up any. This is the last time I'm talking about the Famitsu thing, but there is a Famitsu thing where it looks like they're hanging out like a sort of site, and it seems to be like the sun's just setting. So.
Oh yeah, I know that picture, and it looks like they're in a building of some sort that's looking over the city, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it looks really cool, obviously, but I'm a little. I don't know, really. That's another thing. I guess we'll, figure out eventually.
So we know a few things about the characters. I'm not going to go in with the new information from this Famitsu, but the stuff we've learned at TGS.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main character might be voiced, honestly.
Really?
I feel like it's going to be like Fallout 4. That's my...
that would be interesting.
You know how in Fallout 4, like you choose a dialogue option and then the main character's voiced and he says something slightly different, but it's basically the same thing. Yeah. I feel like that's what it's going to be like in P5.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we saw that with Catherine, too. You would pick a dialogue option, and then what he said would be slightly different, but it's around the same premise.
Mm-hmm. I mean, see, I want to say that because it sounded like he was actually talking a lot in the most recent trailer. I could be wrong on that.
Especially in the live events, too.
Yeah, and it's like that at the post after the trailer was revealed, they had a special guest, the voice actor for Persona 5's main character. Yeah. And it's like, why would they bring him up if that wasn't the case? Obviously, this would be the first time that your playable character in a Persona game was not you, really.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we had Tatsuya and Maya.
Yeah, but Tatsuya, that wasn't in. Okay, in Persona 2,
Crust
he was.
Boy and...
Yeah. So I don't. Because, okay, back to the Famitsu. Gosh, I guess I gotta bring up that article all the time now.
Hey, man, by the time we get this editing done, maybe...
That is true, yeah. It'll probably be out. So I think it'll be okay, but...
Yeah.
It does say you. I think to that degree, like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
He still doesn't have an official name, which is making me not point to, yes, he will be voiced, and maybe he won't be. I don't really know, but
I mean,
that's an interesting idea.
Executing it well, I think.
Yeah, and I think maybe later down the line, Persona could attempt something to the same degree, but the amount of voiceless protagonists versus the Vincent is a little 20 years of tradition or most recent. I don't know.
They kind of force fed the personality on Yuna Arakami, and I hope they don't do that with P5 main character.
I mean, that's really if you only. Would you say that's only if you take the other game, the non-main game into consideration, like the other sources of media, like the animation and the
the animations I kind of disregard, but as we all know, Arena, Ultimax, and Dance are canon for whatever reason, and he's all stated as Yuna Arakami except Persona Q, because at that one they were like,
they couldn't fit him in for some reason, but. Yeah, I mean, okay, I'd like them to have an official name later down the line because that just makes sense from a marketing standpoint. You got to call your figure something, right? Usually a not canon name. Yeah, canon name I guess works in that degree. But I hope maybe we just don't get it for a little while. Is really what I want from that.
I think if they milk the plump cow that is P5 when it comes out, I have a feeling that the reason they gave him the title The Phantom is so that if they do make spin-offs, possibly they won't be forced to give him a full name and they can just title him as The Phantom. But that's just a guess. That's just pure speculation out of me.
It's like you go to school the first day, hey, what's your name? The Phantom? Well, you're weird. All right. See you later.
Hey, Mr. The Phantom, did you hear about the Phantom Thief? No.
No way. Never heard of it.
But anyway, moving to the next character, we got Naruto, also known as Ryuji Sakamoto.
Yeah,
he is a bad influence.
Dude, he's the worst. It's pretty funny, though. I kind of see some similarities to my own life in him, because that was kind of like at least from my high school experience, I hanged around some pretty bad characters. Okay, not bad characters, but I definitely see a lot of similarities between Ryuji and one of my friends, so it's a little funny for me, but I like him so far. I don't know if he can excel or outdo any of the other, best friend characters we've had in the past.
I feel like he'll be a slightly more tame Kanji. Like, he won't be all up in your face saying that he'll beat you up, but he's, like, rough around the edges, but he's a softie on the inside.
I'd like that. I like that. What I'm thinking is, like, maybe honestly, his whole bad reputation, or, like, that he's a bad guy, is, kind of like Kanji. Like, it's all just, rumors and stuff of that nature, which I think could be a really interesting social link, if he is one at all. But
the next character we have is Anne Takamaki. Now, she reminds me a lot of people say she reminds her of Rise, but it reminds me of Ayase from Persona 1. I don't know her name in Revelations because localization. The blonde girl with the ponytails.
I never get her. I don't even know her name.
It wasn't even that important.
The one in the warehouse, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I never got... I got her once, but I didn't like using her. Yeah, nothing's really of her character yet. I mean, all we know is that she is, like, a Caucasian, or like a little bit Caucasian,
like quarter white.
Yeah, which is like why I think a little bit has something to do at least with her, story. But outside of that, I don't really know what to make of her, honestly. I guess we'll see. Honestly, that's the biggest mystery for me. It seems like they really want to keep info on her kind of low for whatever reason, and I'm not sure why.
As we've seen in PV3, we see an emotional scene with her like breaking down and crying. And stuff. I can't exactly remember what the translation said, but I feel like
the translation, I believe. The translation was she wanted to. She wished she could forget everything, which is really bizarre. I don't know why.
I feel like she might be one of the most pivotal characters, more than
She's definitely going to be probably the main grill. Let's be honest.
I don't know. We're gonna move on to the main grill.
Right? Oh yeah, the cat. Everyone loves the cat, man. Oh, no, she's not a cat.
She's not a cat.
She's more
the
than
great
that.
Morgana.
Right.
So now I did some research online to figure out, because Morgana. She said she's the great Morgana. I'm like, well, what could that be? Well, apparently, according to Arthurian legend, King Arthur.
Morgan Le Fay.
Morgan Le Fay, which is a sorceress of sorts, kind of like a counterpart of Merlin in a way. Not
so
really,
what if she's actually that character? That would be an interesting twist. Yeah, that's my personal theory.
Because sorcery can involve many things like shapeshifting, and as we know, Morgana can shapeshift between a normal cat, cartoon cat, for whatever reason.
So maybe this fictional character found a way to turn herself into a cat and also become immortal.
Okay,
that'd be interesting. We've had weirder things, right?
Speculation time. Come on, grab all your friends. Let's go to very strange lands. Let's talk about possibly, that Morgana, let's just say that, yes, Morgana is Morgan Le Fay. What if she casted a spell on herself to turn herself into a cat, and it's almost irreversible?
Maybe that's her, motivation to, help out the Phantom, etc.
Like, her ulterior motive is to be like, I want to turn back to normal, and you guys will help me.
Right, and she kind of doesn't convey that in the beginning or something like that. Then that brings up the question, why'd she have freaking Zoro if she's Morgan Le Fay? Who knows?
I really thought your idea of Puss in Boots made sense.
I stand by my Puss in Boots.
Okay,
and that sounds very odd out of context.
At least have like an iteration or an upgrade that's Puss in Boots.
All I'm saying is, starts out as Zoro, evolves into Puss in Boots. That's gonna happen. It's gonna trade the rapier for a giant. No, Puss in Boots technically used a rapier too. I don't really know, but I think. I mean, okay. Here's my defense. Teddy's persona, Kentucky Doji. That was a guy in mythology, and then he turned into the bear god. So is it that far fetched? I don't know. I still feel like I'm right personally, but this isn't about my theories.
This is just a theory.
Yeah,
a game
exactly.
Theory. Wrong show, but whatever.
Right.
Next character is Yusuke Kitagawa. Now I'm gonna butcher his name between Yosuke and Yusuke so much it's gonna bother the heck out of me. But he says he has his own problem that he's dealing with in his life, and drama happens when he encounters our other characters. And as we know, he's an artist of some sort, or he's like what is it?
He's a painter.
Yeah, an underling of a famous artist or something. So I mean, the main theme of the game is breaking free from your chain. So maybe he's like, I don't want to be in this mentorship anymore.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, that'd be an interesting idea. Like, he he was raised to be an artist or something, or he feels that's his only skill is that or something. Speculating as always, and he doesn't. Turns out he doesn't actually like to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, if I don't know if you ever realized, but in Persona games, their personas usually represent the game in some way. Like in Persona 4, almost all of the other party members' personas were children of Izanagi, and that could be linked back to like Unarakami, like getting them together to be friends to fight Izanami, the main bad guy, or Persona 3 when the main character fuses Orpheus and Thanatos to make Messiah, which is basically like a man facing his death and coming back to life, like Jesus Christ himself.
And also a pretty predominant person in Greek, so that's wait, what?
Yeah, I was agreeing with you. Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So yeah, I think this time they're very scattered about. We're not gonna talk too much about the personas, but how exactly they delve into the whole picaresque ideal. It's gonna be very interesting to see, I think, because so far none of them are necessarily villains, but they're not really like good guys either. So it's more of the moral ambiguity. Being a thief, I guess. Maybe that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
How will that play into Yusuke? Who the frick knows? I'm excited.
I have an idea.
Okay, let me hear
it. As I was saying earlier, how like the personas kind of represent how the story's going to play out. What if the fate of their personas, like the characters, like the fate of Arsene Lupin in his last novel, or the fate of Goemon is the fate of our main characters in some degree?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Like Yusuke, maybe he goes under fire, kind of like how Goemon was burned or boiled.
What I'm thinking about that is he will be a ice or a wind persona of some degree, and he'll be weak to fire. But hey, that's just me. I don't think he'll be necessarily related to a story in a way, because if that, maybe. I
mean, he has a kabuki mask, which is what the story of Goemon's usually portrayed in kabuki plays and stuff like that in Japan. So I mean, it's just food for thought.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of examples, because I can't think of, did Hermes lose any? No, okay, we're not going to spoil any games for anybody here, but, that could definitely be a possibility, but, trying to think, I mean, there's a lot more we could obviously discuss about, but are there any last points you'd like to get in?
I'm mostly thinking about how the story is omnibus. Like, if you know what I mean. That's what Hashino says, that the story's omnibus. Like an omnibus kind of storytelling, which is really weird. They said that there's not going to be one main bad guy. It's just going to be kind of like shonen villain of the week.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. It's like, are we superheroes now? Yeah. It's very, very different. Like, we have to have a final boss, obviously. Like, what are they going to do about that? I mean, maybe, I feel like that's just a little bit of like teasing to the fans, like, oh yeah, there's no primary villain. But it'd be interesting to see if, there's not a unified group that we're going up against. It's just, each bad guy happens to be bigger and badder than the last,
Yeah.
I think that'd be honestly very refreshing.
Yeah, and aren't there like 9 rings of hell or whatever? Like,
yes.
Each one representing each 7 deadly sins, but after that there's like the uber mega bad one.
There's the worst, and pretty much if you're Judas, that's where you go.
Yeah.
Those are pretty much the 2 worst. So, that could be interesting, definitely.
Like the final boss could be like an iteration of Satan or Lucifer. I know that's going like deep into...
Well, technically Lucifer, I think, is Pride, so could be that.
That's true.
But, sorry to crap on your theory, but it'd be very interesting if they did use the, Dante's Inferno sort of conception of hell for our bosses. That'd be very... I think that could work, honestly.
Yeah, like each Persona game has roughly around 7 main dungeons and like a few others thrown in there.
Ish, yeah.
And so like I could see it like being 9 dungeons, and each block of the palace is like going through a ring of hell, like Dante's Inferno, which is...
Because, I hate to bring up Devil Survivor again, but it's a really good point, because, early on, you figure out that the bosses you're encountering that are different than demons are all named after stars in the Big Dipper, so... Maybe it could be a thing going on there.
Like Devil Survivor 2's, I feel like it's a lot like Evangelion, but...
Right, that's what everyone's... I swear they're different, but no.
Yeah.
But,
What was it that I was going to bring up? You know, in the end of PV3, I don't know if you watch too much anime like I used to. I don't do it as much anymore, but
I don't.
but I used to like be big into that kind of stuff, but not really as
Yeah,
much
yeah.
anymore. I used to watch this anime. I finished it. It's probably one of my favorite animes of all time was Code Geass, and I've
Oh
seen
yeah, I've seen that one.
I've seen the
Yeah.
connection being brought up a few times, but you can't lie to me that the Phantom walking
Yeah.
up in the big projector, that's totally zero from
Yeah,
Code Geass.
I can definitely see some similarities. And if this show or our story here ends anyway like that series, that'd be kind of crazy. So,
I feel like Persona 3 might have multiple endings, and one of those endings might result in the martyr of the Phantom.
Or I mean Persona 5. You said Persona 3. I was
Persona
yeah,
5.
Persona 3, it could have
Persona
multiple
3
endings.
did end in a martyr too.
Yeah.
But,
A little bit, but
yeah.
let's let's hope that's not the case. Let's hope everyone lives,
Yeah.
as unlikely that may be.
One thing that I
yeah.
really hoped to see again, since the whole theme of P5 was masks, was Philemon. I can't. I want him back.
I don't think he's going back.
Probably not. But
we don't need him anymore.
No, we don't. But I want him back.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, he makes slight appearances at the beginning of every game as a blue butterfly. But
I think the brief homages are okay, to be honest with you. But that I guess that's a debate for another day. Is there any other points you like to touch on?
There was one
Okay.
that was kind of key. What was it? I had it on the tip of my tongue. Oh yeah, the thing that I think most people might have gotten over it now, but I remember back when PV2 and PV1 came out, everybody was assuming our main characters were turning into personas, and I proved myself right because I'm prideful. That's
not a thing.
That's not the
Visual
case.
Devil Saga-esque battle system. Apparently not very popular.
Well, no, their main key point to the argument was that the main characters got yellow eyes, but if
you mean he was turning into a
persona, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to get on my high horse or anything because I sound like a complete jerk, but I constantly brought up in threads talking about how if you look at the concept art for P1, P2, and even Izanagi from P4, personas have yellow eyes under their masks. So I'm like, it's kind of obvious that they're activating their personas in a way, but most people jump ship to the shadow theory.
Right. I mean, I guess people aren't very used to seeing, sort of, I don't want to say villainous, but not necessarily super heroic sort of thing of activating your persona for the first time because, Narukami had the glasses on, so we technically couldn't see his eyes, but when he had Izanagi, he was a little happy, a little devilish grin, I'd like to say. So.
And when P3 protagonist activated his persona, his eyes turned like a light blue.
Right. He was pretty. He's pretty happy with that smile. Yeah. It's pretty iconic from the series. But
now I know you're trying to avoid the topic, so I won't go into it too much.
Okay.
I'll try to stay on surface with it. In PV3, we did see something that was questionable. I would just put it up on screen right here instead of talking about it and let you make your assumptions on what it could be. But I was assuming that if you've ever, this sounds really cheesy at first, but if you let me go through with it, it'll make sense.
No, go for it, dude. Floor's yours.
If you played not Persona, it's Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, those games.
What? I was not expecting that reference, but keep going. Sorry.
In those Spider-Man games, you walked around town and you got random blips of when people were being attacked or a crime was going on.
Yeah.
And quite possibly, I was thinking that during these certain events, like that unfortunate woman in that event.
Yeah, the woman getting attacked.
You could be walking past the alleyway which that event is happening.
And you could
go all
cool.
Spider-Man ham on them and kick some butt. But, that was just my
I think that'd be really cool because we obviously have a big world to explore if there was some sort of like, I don't know how you'd really describe that necessarily, but something to that degree could definitely be possible with this large of a city and the many locations we're visiting,
Mm-hmm. And what was it? I also like to think that this game drew inspiration from Yakuza, and I know it probably didn't. And they were developing it before the Index buyout, but I can totally see them walking through Shibuya, totally like Yakuza. Like the gameplay just looks so similar, like walking through Tokyo and stuff. But
I actually haven't played too much Yakuza, but I can see that, and it agree. The question remains though: are we going to travel around everywhere with our squad? I guess
maybe.
I mean, I don't know. It seems like it'd be hard to stealth that many people all in the same area.
Plus,
I guess we'll have to see.
Plus, didn't it seem that P5 has a bigger budget? Like, I'm not too well-rounded in Japanese voice actors and knowing who they are, but from what I've heard, people are saying these are big-name Japanese voice actors.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, like, I know a little bit about the voice cast, and they're definitely, like, I don't want to say, they're up there basically. The higher echelon, I guess. So I think, probably their voice talent has been upgraded a bit. Not to say they're bad by any means in the past, but these are the big guys, I guess. Because now they want to be a part of this big project. I'm pretty sure it's like one of the most anticipated games of like pretty much ever for Japan too.
Yeah, so. Definitely. And I mean, the last point I want to bring up is, what is your standing on dual audio?
I don't really use it, so I mean, it seems like
English voices.
Yeah, I every English voice actor for pretty much all the games I've pretty much enjoyed. I think they've all done their role fantastically. Honestly, I feel like it's an insult to like ask for dual audio unless it's just horrible, which Atlas really hasn't had a bad one yet, I want to say.
The only questionable decision in Atlas's voice acting is probably casting JohneAwesome as both the main bad guy and the main good guy.
Say what you will, I love that they did that. It was just awesome to me, but we'll not spoil anything for anybody.
Yeah, that's why I didn't bring up any names.
Maybe I'm just a big fan of JohneAwesome.
JohneAwesome is my man.
He's probably one of my favorites. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But maybe a little questionable, sure, but I think it worked out okay.
Before people jump ship and just saying, you're casuals ruining the anime world, I just want to say, I usually watch anime in subs. It's just the Persona cast is really good at their job that I can't help but listen to it. And honestly, I know he's a very talented man, and I respect him, and I'm sad that he passed away. It was really sad to have someone of that legacy go away, but I could not stand the guy who did Igor's original Japanese voice.
Really?
Yeah, he was all like, I'm Igor!
I really enjoyed him a lot. I mean, I think it's Igor talking in the new game. I could be incorrect on that, but I really enjoyed the one they had in the, other games, especially our new Igor voice actor. I really think he did a fantastic job too. But that never really bothered me. I don't understand why people really love, just the dual audio option so much. I guess it's just not my forte. But
they're probably used to think they're in the mindset of how English voice acting is always bad. But honestly, in the past few years, it's been getting better.
Yeah, I mean, it's I honestly believe there's very talented people in America. The problem is we don't have that many, so that's maybe why people are frowned on it so much, but oh well, what are you gonna do? Differing opinions, but yeah, that's pretty much all we really wanted to talk about. We talked a lot of, talk about Spider-Man for a couple minutes.
Spider-Man's cool, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't draw that comparison, but that could totally happen. And yeah, we just talked about, our general thoughts from, I keep wanting to say E3. It was pretty much my E3 for me.
Japanese E3.
But from TGS, obviously, we just we thought this would be kind of a cool thing to do. And yeah, thanks for coming out.
Do you have any final points you want to bring up?
Nah, that's pretty much it. A game coming out. Let's play it.